in 2010, came to New Orleans after serving as Director of Player Personnel for the San Antonio Spurs for 5 seasons. As a player, played for the Spurs, Golden State, and Orlando, and was inducted into his College Hall of Fame, University of Pacific, back in 2003. The New Orleans Pelicans, coming off of an outstanding season in which they made the playoffs, will open their preseason October 3rd at Indiana, and their regular season October 27th on the road at defending world champion Golden State. Home opener against Golden State, by the way, as well, on Halloween night. Should be a festive occasion. Please give a warm Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club welcome to Dell Demps of the New Orleans Pelicans. Dell.
Thank you for having me today. You know, when I was asked to speak here today, I was honored, and I'm really, happy to be here. I said my name is Dell Demps. I'm the general manager of the New Orleans Pelicans, and today I thought I'd just, give you a little preview of the team, update on what's going on with the team. Obviously, the season's upcoming. We start. Okay, there. Sorry. Yeah. See if I can move this other mic here. The season for us begins really now. We're doing voluntary workouts right now. Most of the guys, all the guys have participated in the voluntary workouts on the team. This is the week before training camp, so we'll have a couple guys in and out taking care of their affairs before we start camp. And we're going to start camp next Monday. We're really happy about the off season, starting off with re-signing Anthony Davis. That was huge not only for our team, but we also think our community and our city. For him to commit to us for 5 years, it was great. So he'll be a Pelican with us for the next 5 years, plus this year on his extension. And so we're really excited about Anthony. He's not only a phenomenal basketball player, but he's probably a better person. I think he comes from great parents that done a great job of raising him. He loves New Orleans. That's the thing about it. So one thing about he loves New Orleans. He considers this home. And, he's really bulked up. When we first drafted him, when we walked in the door, he's around 214, 215 pounds. And now, he's over 250. And I think he'll probably play around 245, 247. Once we start practice, he'll probably lose a little weight. But he looks great. He's in phenomenal shape. And, this is a big year for us. Last year, thought, putting the pieces together, the team started to find themselves in the second half of the year. And, I thought, getting to the playoffs, we got a taste, but it also left a bad taste in our mouth because now we want to take that next step. And so the guys, at the end of the season, when we did the exit interviews, one of the common themes from the team when I talked to those guys is they wanted to keep the team together. They wanted the same group of guys. And so that's what we did in the offseason. We were pretty much bringing back the same team. We do have, one change. We do have a new coach. We're excited about Alvin Gentry coming in here. We're putting a new system, which is going to be, really, I think, exciting for the fans to watch. I think it's going to be great for the players. I think, with the team that we have, I think we have a bunch of what I call young veterans. We got the core of our team is probably around 25, 26 years old, and they're all in like their 6th, 7th year in the NBA. And then you had Anthony with those guys and a couple other players, and I'm really excited about the possibilities for this group. I say we start training camp next week. We're going to go to the Greenbrier. We're going to be there for a week, and then we're going to hit the road. And we're hoping, with the new coach, new system, getting away, we can get some team building exercises in. Everybody can get to know each other, and we're really looking forward to this group gelling and taking that next step. We play in the Western Conference, which is phenomenal. It's unreal. I think top to bottom, and even some of the teams that weren't very good last year, I think are going to be good this year. I think Minnesota and Sacramento have made some vast improvements. I think the Lakers, getting Kobe back, are going to be back on the map. And obviously Phoenix and us battled it out to the end last year to get into the playoffs. And then plus you have all the teams from the playoffs last year. So it's going to be a battle playing in the Western Conference. But, we embrace the opportunity. We look forward to it. We have, I think, over 20 games on national TV, which is a great sign that, people put an expectation on us. We're going to play opening night against the champs. We're going to see them get their championship rings, and then we play them on national TV. And so that's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. And then we have our home opener against the champs here, and so we're going to really get a good understanding, a good gauge of where we are as a team. That first week of the season. And so we're looking forward to it. We embrace the opportunity, And the fan support here in New Orleans has been unreal. It's been tremendous, just walking around the city, the people talking to us, and the anticipation, the ticket sales. We can't wait. We're really excited. I think the Benson family, Mr. and Mrs. Benson, they've been great to us. They've given us all the resources that we need to be successful, including the practice facility, the improvements at the arena, and we're excited. We think now is our time, and we just really look forward to the opportunity. Does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Mr. Demps. Can you explain to a dumb person like myself what mid-level exceptions are for each team? Because I've always gotten confused on that. And plus, Coach Gentry was the coach at Phoenix when they offered the contract to Eric Gordon. So can you speak on behalf of Coach Gentry, excited about coaching Eric?
I'll answer your first question. You said the mid-level exception. In the NBA, they take the average salary in the NBA, and the basic way of saying it's that average salary, and so each team has the ability, if they're over the salary cap. It's a little different in football. In football, you can't go over the salary cap. In basketball, you can go over the salary cap, and the big number in basketball is usually the luxury tax, because once you go over the luxury tax, you have to pay a tax for every dollar you go over. And the mid-level exception is an exception that you get usually every year that you can spend as about the average salary of an NBA player. And right now, the mid-level is in the $5 million range. So that's the mid-level exception that most teams use. And to answer your question about Coach Gentry and Eric Gordon, it was interesting because, yes, Gentry was the coach when Phoenix signed Eric to an offer sheet that we eventually matched. And so, they have a little joke going on between them because now they're finally together. And so they didn't think it was going to be that way. But I'll tell you this, Coach is really excited to coach Eric. Eric's been here participating in off-season workouts, and he's really matured and grown not only as a player but as a person in his time in New Orleans. He's here participating in the off-season workouts. He's probably the one guy on our team that does the most extra to prepare his body for the season. He invests in not only different trainers and technology, but he goes out of his way. He looks great. He's in phenomenal shape. He's been here participating in our season workouts. He came out to Summer League just to show support for the new coaching staff. But we're really excited about him and his growth and his leadership with this team moving forward.
I guess kind of piggybacking off the health issue, how's Drew Holiday?
Drew Holiday, I just watched Drew Holiday go through. Drew Holiday just went through a workout. I was just watching him right now. He's in phenomenal shape. We're going to be smart and cautious with him. One of the good things about this team is we have depth, and so we're not going to ask Drew to come out and play 35, 40 minutes a game because we feel like we're really strong in the guard position. And so we're going to be smart and cautious with him, not only now through training camp to start the season, and then really get a gauge of where he is. But like I said, we feel like we have a deep team. And having a deep team, we feel like our strength is in our numbers. And so we don't have to put the pressure on anybody to go out and play 35, 40 minutes a night.
Got an Olympic question. Considering that Davis is he automatically made the Olympic team for 2016?
I think he'll be on the team. It's not automatic, but we don't want him to get injured. So I'm knocking on wood right there.
And that's my question. And thank you for coming here today. Appreciate that. If Davis or anybody, if LeBron James is hurt during the Olympics, do the United States Olympic Committee have insurance? Does the NBA help the teams that provide? Because I think it's a great honor to have our best players represent. I think it's great for basketball worldwide. So you got to take that chance. But if that happens, is there any insurance that protects the teams for a player that represents us in the Olympics?
Yeah, and actually it's an agreement between the NBA and FIBA where players are not allowed to play unless they are covered by insurance. And so all the players are insured by USA Basketball and by other federations across every team that participated in the Olympics and the World Championships. And there's some situations where players have played in smaller countries that couldn't afford the insurance, where there's some players that have so much pride that they'll pay the insurance themselves just so they can represent their country. their country in the Olympics or the World Championship. So there is insurance. Anthony will be insured.
Hello? I don't want to get you in trouble for tampering, so be careful. There's a
Hey, don't worry. My wife has a rule that anytime I get a fine, she gets to match that fine shopping.
well, I'll be
So it's double for me. So I know how to duck these questions sometimes.
there's a really tall gentleman that plays north of Dallas that would look very good in a Pelicans uniform next year.
Yeah, I can't touch that.
I know. So my question is, how would you approach the season or the next off season? Are you going to plan to maintain flexibility, or are you going to make moves during the season according to how the team's doing?
This team that we're going to have this year has really been 3 years in the making. We set out a plan, 3 years ago to be exactly where we are right now. If you went back and looked at our blueprint, and so we really want to give this team an opportunity to succeed. I think we're going to have to answer some questions, during the season, after the season. We'll always look at opportunities to make the team better, but ultimately, we really like this team right now. We think we got a great group of guys, high character guys. I don't think there's a jerk in the locker room. It's really fun for myself when I watch the guys hanging out at the practice facility or eating, that they enjoy each other. When we go on the road, you see packs of guys together. Everybody's not just going their separate way. So we really want to see this group, and I'm excited about this group's opportunity, and I'm hoping they can gel and stay healthy. And I want this team to, like I said, the sky's the limit for this team. And I said we embrace the opportunity in front of us, but at the same time, we're always going to look at opportunities to make the team better.
You mentioned high character players. It seems, maybe this is just my observation, but it seems like NBA players get in far less trouble, fail fewer drug tests than NFL players. Could you tell us how the NBA maybe approaches it differently, that you've had better success with that?
I don't know if I have the formula for that, but, for us, it's very important when a player puts New Orleans across his chest. Not only is he representing the organization and the Benson family, but he's representing you, he's representing the city, he's representing our community. And so we go out of our way with background checks before we sign players. And we go all the way back to, not only they're in college and they're in high school, and we even try to find the ex-girlfriends. They really like to talk. I was joking on that. But it's just important to us that, that when it's kind of like any other person, when you come to work every day, you want to work with people that you enjoy being around. You don't want to work around a jerk. You don't want to work around somebody who's going to bring a dark cloud into the locker room. And so we've gone out of our way to bring high character guys in here.
Anyone else?
Well, thank you guys for having me today. Look forward to seeing you at the Smoothie King Center.